lot of change going on in Texas high school football. One place that, though, maybe off the radar that you haven't been paying attention to has been pretty stable for the past little bit. It's the new program down there in Katy ISD. It's Katy Paetow, the Panthers. They will start varsity play this year with a new head coach. Their coach is BJ Gotte. He joins us right now. Coach, how are you?
I'm good, guys. How are y'all?
Excellent. Appreciate you taking a little bit of time to chat with us. I want to ask you about the unique challenge that you faced there at Katy Paetow. This is, of course, the new program there in Katy ISD, a big winning tradition in Katy ISD. And you're taking over a program building from scratch. Can you tell us a little bit about what's been so different, so unique about the situation that you have there with the Panthers?
Well, everything. where I've come from, I've been extremely fortunate to have grown up in Katy and went to high school at the high school and was fortunate enough to come back and coach. And just the task of trying to establish a brand new program in your hometown, and it's been a challenge, but it's been fun. The kids have bought in, and we've got a long way to go, but our kids keep working every day and they keep doing what we ask. So it's been fun.
You've been around the Texas high school football coaching block a couple of times. You were the offensive coordinator for Lamarck when they won a state championship, the offensive coordinator for Katy when they won a state championship. You've been around a lot of winners. I want to ask you maybe what may seem like a silly question, but do you think that winning is contagious? Do you think that because of your background that you can maybe infect these kids with the winning bug?
I think it's a culture.
Mm-hmm.
You referenced some of the stops that I've been, and I think I've been blessed to be surrounded by some great people. Mike Johnston and Gary Joseph and Chris Massey and Brian Irwin and, some of the head coaches that I've been blessed enough to work for. And then also guys who have also coached me as a young kid, and they're the reason why I'm in this profession. So I think that from a young age, I've surrounded myself with great men, and it's kind of infected me, and that's kind of my goal. I think if you create a culture of winning built on sound principles that go beyond just football, I think the wins and losses take care of themselves, and then the culture's created.
You mentioned your coaching tree. This is your first head coaching job, but this is, the guys that you have coached with are a who's who. You mentioned Mike Johnston, Gary Joseph, Brian Irwin, a lot of really fantastic Texas high school football coaches. I want to ask you about how those guys influence the head coach that you are. Is it the kind of thing that you just take a little bit from each of them? How exactly does that work when you do have so many great mentors to draw off of?
Oh, well, I am who I am, both professionally and a little bit personally from them and those guys. And there's so many coaches that I've worked with and that have coached me growing up that I could go on and on. That staff I worked on back in the early 2000s at Katy when I was just a young guy trying to find a spot, I want to say most of those guys are now head coaches or have been head coaches on that offensive staff, like Jeff Dixon, Jeff Rhodes, Chris Massey, Scott Svensson, all those guys that I've learned from. And, so I think as you grow personally and professionally, you just kind of, especially as a young coach, I just kept my mouth shut and my eyes open and worked hard and tried to take as much as I can from them. So I think I am who I am as a coach because of them, and I've kind of inherited their beliefs and ideals, and it's kind of carried over.
We're talking with BJ Gotte, the head coach of the Katy Paetow Panthers here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at hashtag TF Today. Coach, you are starting varsity play this year, but you guys have a team. You guys have played some games. As a JV program, you guys go 4-4-1 in 2017. So overall, how would you assess the first year? Obviously, a lot of moving parts, but as far as what you saw on the field, how would you assess the first look at the Panthers?
Well, the best way I describe it is, if you'd have told me before I even got into this that we'd finished our first year playing sophomore and JV teams, we'd end up 4-4-1, I'd say I'd take it every day of the week, twice on Sunday. But going through it,
Uh-oh.
I have not only myself but everyone around me. It was tough. I mean, the kids, the one thing I am proud of is the kids kept their heads up and they kept working. One of my biggest concerns early on was how do our kids handle adversity over the length of a season, because it's not going to be easy. And in our culture today, a lot of kids want instant gratification, and it's hard for them to work through adversity, and our kids they've learned how to handle it. They've learned how to work. I don't want to create a sense of complacency and people being okay with losing. I want us to stay hungry, and I think we did that, but it wasn't easy. It's never easy for me in terms of anytime you lose, because you compete to win. But if you can find the mini wins and the mini battles within those that you can grow on and keep those kids engaged, I think that's what helped us the most.
Let's talk a little bit of the defense, because I know you're really excited about some of the youngsters you got on this defense. A sophomore nose guard, Gerald Boykins, and a linebacker, Alex Elko. When you look at this defense, is that the kind of thing that early on you're thinking could be the strength of your squad?
Well, I mean, defense wins championships. I'm an offensive guy. I played offense. I've been an offensive coordinator, but growing up in Katy's system and being around Coach Gary Joseph and even Mike Johnston, and knowing the program that they've created and just the philosophy they have, I feel like if you're going to win consistently for a long period of time, you better put your priority on being able to stop the run and play great, tenacious defense. So that's what we put a priority on. And we have some ability. Jarrell and Alex are going to be key pieces of what we're trying to do. But, defense is extremely important, and in order for us to be successful, we got to have guys over there that can give us a chance.
You mentioned you're an offensive guy. You know, offensive coordinator pretty much everywhere that you've been. So give us maybe a look at what we should expect from this Panthers offense. What kind of attack are we going to see?
We're going to be multiple on offense. Our home base is we're going to be able to establish the run. We're going to be able to run the football, or we're going to try to. Anyway, we're going to try to establish the run, and then we're going to evolve our offense off of that. I think when you talk about an offense or defense, it's kind of tied to what you have in your classes and how they complement each other from year to year. So defensively, we're going to give our kids as much as they need to be successful. And then on offense, we're going to complement our defense. If I've got the ability to put 4 or 5 playmakers on the field, we'll spread it out. If I only have 2 or 3 guys that, we feel like can help us move the football, then we'll bring it in. And it kind of runs parallel with the philosophy we had at Katy and even Lamarck and Marcus. We all, in all those offenses, they were very similar in that we just took advantage of the kids that we had on offense to be able to be consistent moving the football while complementing our defense and giving them pieces in order for them to be successul.
UIL realignment, of course, comes down and you guys get put in your first district, and I'm not sure who you made mad at the UIL, but they didn't do you any favors. District 10, 5A, Division 2, in there with A&M Consolidated, Montgomery, Lamar Consolidated, Huntsville. It's a tough district. For you, how do you assess your district draw? How do you assess what you guys are going to be up against in your first year as a varsity program?
Well, I think wherever we would have ended up, it would have been a challenge. But, obviously with the great programs that are in our district, like A&M Consolidated and Huntsville is a storied program, and Montgomery with Coach Bolfing there. There's a lot of great coaches and a lot of great teams. So it's going to be a challenge for us to be able to hold our own. But I think wherever we'd have ended up, that'd have been the case. I told somebody the other day, they were asking me about it, and I said, to be honest with you, coaching in Houston for as long as I have, and even coaching the Metroplex for the few years I was up there, I mean, just because you're going 45 miles, if you head the wrong direction, you may be in an hour and a half in a bus regardless of what direction. And so, I mean, we made some trips to the south side of Houston, and I had a lot of an hour and a half travel time because at the time of day. So, I don't know. I don't get too caught up in the distance as much as, just doing what we need to do to try to be successful.
We're talking with BJ Gotte, the head coach of the Katy Paetow Panthers here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. And finally, Coach, I know you're a busy man, but I got to ask you, you won a state championship as a player at Katy in 1997. Of course, you coached on the Katy staff that won a state championship there as the offensive coordinator. They're the red team, and so you've been a red team guy for pretty much your entire life. Now you're Carolina Blue there with Katy Paetow. And more importantly, your wife Lisa and your kids Keegan and Gavin have been rooting for the red team pretty much for, they've been growing up in, I presume, red bedrooms and stuff like that. How are they handling the transition of rooting for a different team? Because I got to tell you, if you switched, if growing up you switched my allegiances midstream, I'd need some adjustment.
Well, I'll tell you what, my 3-year-old son, that's still a struggle. He's a Katy Tiger, and he lets me know about it all the time. So my wife and daughter, they're troopers. They help support their dad, but my son, he ain't bashful about saying that he roots for the Katy Tigers, and he'll watch those YouTube videos. And I don't know how he does it. He's 3, but he finds it, and he finds them dang highlight videos, and it's all Katy Tigers. So it is what it is. It's who I am, and that's the thing that I embrace that tradition and that culture, and I'm still a Katy Tiger, but I now am establishing this program here at Katy Paetow, and that's what I am now. But I'm not going to forget my roots or where I came from or who I owe what I owe it to, and so I'm hoping over time I can wear my son out.
Yeah, we got to work on him. We got to work on him liking.
I do. I'm trying to change the caddy roots for, but I'm working on it, so we'll get there.
He is BJ Gotte. He's the head coach of the Katy Paetow Panthers. Coach, really appreciate your time. Congratulations on a successful first year, and best of luck this offseason and in the future.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time.
There he goes, BJ Gotte, head coach, Katy Paetow. Interesting. You talk about a guy who is ingrained in that community. I mean, when you win when you win there as a player, at the flagship program of KDISD, and then you coach their offense to a state championship, right? I mean, you are ingrained in that culture, and it is very, very. It's going to be interesting to see that. We talk about KDISD, and just that's a school district with expectations.
Yeah,
they are a winning school district.
Yeah.
And so here's this new guy, not even a new guy, but here's this new program.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I don't think the expectations are going to change just because they're new.
Yeah.
They might give them a little bit of leeway, but not a lot.
Right.
Because there are expectations to win, and he seems like the kind of guy who can do it.
Yeah, well, Katy's always going to be the top dog out there, but there's always sort of that expectation or wonder among everyone who's going to be the one to rise up. Which one of these communities will rise up and actually be a challenger, and so there's always going to be that pressure. So
we've seen Cinco Ranch have great years. Is Paetow next?
Yeah.
We're excited to see what Coach BJ Gotte. I appreciate you telling me.
Yeah.
BJ Gotte does there. So we appreciate his time talking with us today.